Hey, good afternoon. I'm so happy to have you here, Tammy Schrader. We are now on podcast number 5. I am so excited because tonight we're going to talk about games and industry and how those two get married and how industry works with games. We are coming to you from Level Up Education Consulting. So very excited to be here. And here we go. So here's what's going to happen tonight. My producer is going to pull up a picture, and I'm going to talk about how industry and games work together in those industries. And these are just a few that we picked. I can assure you this is not a full list. So, Yanni, what's the first one we have? Okay, we're going to talk about the military. The military has been using game-based education forever, right? They use it in practicing with weapons. They use it in practicing with accuracy. Okay, so the military also uses games when they want to teach about strategy. I'm sure you guys have all heard about the game called Risk. It's a really old game. It's been around for a long time, right? And now they can do all of this virtually. And you can actually get into simulators where they can simulate. I'm sure if you've not seen the movie War Games, that's the name of it. I think it is, with Matthew Broderick, a billion years old, right? Where they say, let's play a game. And that's when people go in and they start strategizing. They can do this with simulations. They can do it with AR, VR, which is alternative reality or virtual reality. And they can also do it with board games to talk about strategy and how it is that you play a game when it comes to war. Right? Okay, next one. Oh, construction. I've always wanted to drive a bulldozer. However, I will tell you that my husband, well, he has concerns about that, right? And what I love is they have these games where you can actually sit in the cockpit of a bulldozer, right? And by the way, kids love these. I love these, adults, right? But you can get in and you can learn where the gears are and what each lever does, if it makes you move forward or backwards or turn, or if you've got some kind of implement sitting on the device, right, you can learn where those levers are and what they will do. For instance, my grandnephew, I just bought him a big truck and has levers, and one of them scoops up the rocks. The other one puts the rocks back into the holder in the back, the dump truck part. And then there's a lever that will actually release all the rocks by pulling up, and then they dump all over, so you can move them anywhere, and it's all remote control. Fabulous way to learn, right? Fabulous way, especially since my husband doesn't want me to practice in a bulldozer. Thanks, Johnny. The next one, pharmacy school. So we have a school out here. WSU has a pharmacy school, and I loved it because when I visited, they were using simulations for students, right, to prescribe and give a diagnosis to patients. And it was really fabulous because they can use this with no obviously harm to a patient, right? So they can actually practice what they're seeing and what they're diagnosing and the kind of medication they would give them. And medical schools, by the way, use it all the time. Our med schools use simulations in order for doctors in training, nurses in training, to look at patients, what information they need, get information, that kind of thing. Fabulous. Okay. Ooh, I love this old game. It's called Pan Am. And I think the reason I'm attached to the game called Pan Am is because my father actually used to work there a long, long time ago in a faraway land. Now, Pan Am is defunct, but what I love about the Pan Am game is it's a strategy on how to build your airline industry, right? It's an entire strategy game on how to get the kind of planes you need to do the kind of work, transporting people, transporting parcels, whatever you're trying to do. And it's a strategy game about how it is the airline industry got built. It's absolutely fabulous. Okay. Oh, I know if you can't see this one, this is a girl. She has got a VR headset on, and what she is doing is practicing dentistry. If you can look on that screen, I know it's super tiny, sorry about that, but she is actually practicing drilling teeth, giving Novocaine. She's actually in the world of dentistry, looking at patients, deciding, and you know what? This is really fabulous if you've ever been to a dentist, because you know what? How much Novocaine you give, how much teeth, thank you, Yanni, how much teeth work you have to do. Like if you have to work on a whole side of the mouth, or if you have to work on just, if you're going to do a root canal, or if you're just going to fill a cavity, or how much drilling you have to do, how deep the drilling goes, right? And what happens if you start drilling and you find something that you weren't expecting. So there's this whole VR experience on practicing dentistry and how to perform operations on patients. Oh, this was one of my favorites. So this one is an actual picture that I took when I was at the Houston Control Center. And there was a child, which is, in the little seat, and the seat actually moves, right? Seat moves. And that child is trying to dock the space station, dock the space shuttle onto the International Space Station. And, I sat there and thought, my biggest sadness, I'll be honest, was the chair was only built for children, so I couldn't practice. But I wish they would make one for adults, right? Because that's a skill. That is a skill where these kids are trying to show you how difficult it is. And not only that, but they are simulating the experience of being in outer space, which is not the same experience as being on the Earth, right? They are anti-gravity, and so they have to learn this whole new physics way of making two things come together quite tightly. It's fabulous. And so I could sit there and watch this kid all day. Again, I was really sad they didn't have an adult chair, but they didn't. So there we are. It's the best I could do. Totally, totally amazing. Oh my gosh, now we have accounting. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not an accounting person, right? I'm a science, math, technology, right? But they have VR headsets now that will help you learn accounting spreadsheets, accounting, how to do accounting, what kind of forms you need to be filling out, how to fill out the forms, right? And you can do this all on a headset. And in fact, we are actually moving that work forward in Washington State. We have a company that has actually downloaded financial literacy, which, by the way, is a requirement in Washington State. For those of you that don't know, financial literacy is something that everybody should be learning in schools, K-12. So we can make this more fun. And I don't know about you, but today I am I'm trying to fill out paperwork and some things online, and it just isn't working. And I got to tell you, having a headset and being able to have that experience would have been really helpful to me today. Okay, Yanni, the last two we're going to talk about are the aerospace industry, which is near and dear to my heart, because, I used to work for NASA contractors. So first of all, when we design planes now, it's all done on CAD, right? So what I love about this is you get to go into these games and build what you need to build and try to fly them, right? And then you can make changes online to anything aerodynamic, the shape of the nose, the length of the nose, right? Whether you have fins or not, how big those fins are, where they're located, and you can do all of that work. And by the way, I'm doing some work with the Lindbergh Foundation now, where they have competitions, and they are not online. These are actually airplanes that kids can build, and then they've got this machine in the middle that actually hooks them up and sees how they fly as they spin around. Totally, totally fabulous, but totally can be designed, right, in a game, a virtual game. And then when we talk about airports, and in fact, I was just talking to our producer about this today, simply because he just got back from Europe, and we were talking about how airlines work and their flight patterns, and how they know all over the world, when you think about all the flights that take off, all the time they're in space, right? You think about where they're landing, how they land them, the size of the plane, the gate they have to go to, getting everybody on board. Sorry, I'm laughing because, anyway, getting people on board. And we talk about airline or like airport design. I don't know how many airports you've ever visited, but I can tell you that I've visited quite a few all over the world, and I'm going to tell you, there are some I look around and think, who designed this who designed this airport? Because there is one airport, and I don't want to be negative, so I'm not going to tell you where it is. But there's like Terminal A, Terminal B, and Terminal C, and every person that comes through there, if they don't have a connection on the same gate, they have to go to the middle of the airport, get on a tram, and get to a different terminal. And I thought, this is like, how did they do this? Because now you've got thousands and thousands of people all convening in one spot to move around an airport. Anyway, so what games do for industry? They can help strategize. They can help the building. They can help the movement. They can help teach you things like patient diagnosis. They help you do things like how lift works on an airplane. They can teach you things like finances, even how the stock market works, or how to move through your life with any kind of skill, right? Does it replace the actual experience? No, there are too many variables, too much. Like, I was on a VR experience learning how to ride a bike. And while that is not exactly the same, it's not exactly the same thing. There are things about balance that I have to learn by feeling that. I will tell you, when I got on, the concept of bike riding, even though I've known how to ride a bike since I was about 7, the concept of riding a bike, all of them are there. You're going to have to push off. You're going to have to sit on the seat. Here's how you steer. Here's the brakes. Here's what you need to do. So what they've done is they've taken games so that you can have experiences. And what happens during those experiences, you can either learn technique, or you learn, okay, you know what? The faster I pedal, the faster I go. Oh, you better watch out for bumps in the road. What I love is when I learned to drive my motorcycle, same thing. I was on a simulation about how do you move over if there's a log in the middle of the street, right? And here's the thing, depends on the size of the log, and like they taught you how to go at an angle so that you didn't hit it straight. I mean, all these kinds of things that stuck with me when I actually got on to the motorcycle and was driving from point A to point B. Okay, so to sum up today, industry has been using games forever. Education, a little bit behind that curve, but the more that education and industry combine their efforts and start working together so that we can build skills for students, the more that games are going to be playing a role in that. Okay, that's what I have for you today. Thank you very much. The next time we talk, we will be talking about a specific way to start an esports program, like ways that you can go about starting the program, maintaining it, things you should think about. So, okay, Tammy Schrader saying, I hope you have an excellent, excellent evening. Thank you.